Drea, I'll let you start with this really, really incredible thing that happened yesterday in a press conference with Pierre Poilievre. I've watched this like 20 times. It's just so perfect.
I did too, and I was grinning ear to ear. David and I had some fun, just talking about how the mainstream media has totally been slamming Pierre, or trying to, with this smear campaign that they all had almost the same title going around, saying that he is basically peddling mainstream. In other words, what most people think, but mainstream conspiracy theories regarding the WEF. So he just takes a journalist to town here. Let's watch the video.
Hello, Mr. Poilievre. A number of your own comments and actions have been characterized as dog whistling to the far right.
By who?
By a number of different,
who?
but I think it's been characterized by that way. But are you trying to court? Are you trying to court the far right?
Sorry, I just need to clarify. By who?
By a number of different experts and a number of different people who work in this. Okay, well, I think it's been established that this is a concern. Are you trying to court the far right vote?
Who are these experts? You say that there are experts who are saying this. Who are they?
My question is, are you trying to court the far right vote?
I'm sorry. Your question seems to be based on a false premise. You can't even tell me who these experts are. It sounds like it's just a CBC smear job. Thank you.
But what about the question about whether that's
the answer is that I have a common sense agenda to axe the carbon tax, bring home powerful paychecks, clear the way to build affordable homes, to put people in housing that they can afford. That is a common sense, mainstream Canadian agenda. And I know that Justin Trudeau's supporters are so desperate to distract from that because his political career is falling apart. So we're seeing an attempt here to distract and protect Justin Trudeau from his extremely unpopular carbon taxes and other failing policies. But we won't let him or his or others distract from that reality. So thank you.
So you're not going to answer that question?
That was beautiful. And you know what the funny thing is? You can literally find an expert to say anything, but they couldn't find an expert to say that what you're saying is dog whistling to the far right. Like what? That a bunch of billionaires at the World Economic Forum are trying to control the world? The billionaires at the World Economic Forum will tell you that. They wrote a book about it called The Great Reset. And it's not a conspiracy theory, but you can get an expert to say that climate change is making kids fat. I've literally seen that. Or that climate change is the reason for everybody just having all these cardiac events 2 years after an untested vaccine was sort of plunked into the market. And anyways, I probably just got us kicked
on
off
dangerous
by
water
saying
now.
that. I'm treading water with sharks when I say stuff like that. But like, you can get an expert to say that no, that's climate change causing all the heart attacks, and it's climate change making kids fat, and it's climate change making kids depressed, and not the standard American diet wreaking havoc on their hormones and their psyche. You can get an expert to say literally anything if you dangle enough dough in front of them. And even they couldn't find an expert to say what they were accusing Pierre Poilievre of doing. And, she should have just said, it's me, I'm the expert, I see things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we all know that. We all know that, right?
I love what Menzies said about it when we laughed about the same thing. He said, it was probably some janitor and said, whispering something in passing. But yeah, they're not even putting the experts. And what's really sad and concerning here is that this journalist is just parroting this horrible, rhetoric that's been going on through the propaganda. And she doesn't even know who the experts are as well. And like, when you're going to go up against, well, it shouldn't be going up against, it should just be asking a question, but it seems as though it's going up against someone like Pierre Poilievre, who we've seen many times, destroy Prime Minister Trudeau over and over. You better know what you're talking about and what you're referring to. And in the article, it wasn't just that they just claimed experts. And you're right, absolutely. You can find an expert to say anything without backing that up. They also said that he is spreading debunked conspiracy theories without providing any evidence of what exactly they mean. How was it debunked? And so it's just such poor journalism all around. And I think at this point, not only do they have the stake in the game for, just trying to be heard, trying to survive, they have an issue with Pierre Poilievre because he gets the biggest cheers when he says he's going to defund them. So they are desperate. It looks like it. So desperate that they're not even practicing journalism at this point to smear him.
I was at the Democracy Fund Student Journalism Conference over the weekend. Some of the brightest young minds in up-and-coming independent journalism were there. And we had Rodney Palmer speak. And he's great, former journalist, worked inside the belly of the beast at CBC. And he spoke at the National Citizens Inquiry, the NCI, about just the absolute gall of the mainstream media to pretend they're unbiased on many, many things. And look, I don't believe that anybody is unbiased. We all have a specific lens through which we look at the world. I don't want to force you to pay for it using the hammer of the state. If you like what I have to say, throw a few bucks the rebels' way. If you don't, great, that's okay. A lot of my content is free. But I think that free citizens should not be forced to pay for propaganda as they are with the CBC. And I also think that for CBC to present themselves as unbiased is just so dishonest. And it's an insult to their readers and viewers, the few that are left. I always lead with my chin. If I'm talking about pro-life issues, pro-family issues, I tell you exactly where I'm coming from. So that you know the lens through which I'm talking about these issues. I don't hide that I'm a conservative. I wear it on my sleeve and sometimes on my t-shirt. And Rodney, I learned a lot from him, and I like to think that I might be a bit of a veteran journalist at this point. And I learned a lot from Rodney when he said, when they make a claim in a story, stop and ask yourself, says who? Yeah. And I was like, yes, what a great tip to keep in your mind when you're reading these experts say. Okay, well, who's the expert? Now let's drill down on that expert. The expert says, and then they quote the Anti-Hate Network, and you're like, oh, so the Anti-Hate Network says that Pierre Poilievre is dog whistling to the left. Who funds the Anti-Hate Network? Oh, Justin Trudeau. Oh, okay, so that's the circle that just closed the loop on that circle there. So Justin Trudeau funds, an organization to run smear jobs on his, on his political enemies, and the Canadian taxpayers have to pay for it. Now, I'm just making up a situation here where they might have found an expert. They didn't even go that far in these articles. They didn't even get that far. They could have got someone to say it. They just didn't even bother to try.
And it wasn't just CBC, it was CTV, it was Global, it was all of them doing the same thing. And that question is so good, says who, but it doesn't just apply to news anymore. We are losing questioning in general. We see it in schools, critical thinking is gone. People need to question who's behind this and whatnot. And what you mentioned about everybody having a bias, what I love about being a journalist for Rebel News is we tell people straight up, we bring you the other side of the story that the mainstream media is ignoring, right? So we are basically filling in the gaps for the people. We tell you right away, but we still practice good journalism when doing so. When we show you the other side of the story, we also show you the side that's going around. We make sure you're aware of it. So number one, you know what we're talking about, which is what's not happening here. People don't know exactly what they're talking about. If they did show the other side here, they would show Klaus Schwab saying, how he's penetrated, such a gross way to say it, our own cabinet, and how, happy he is of our prime minister, and to have some, billionaire or whatever, how much money, I think he's just an entrepreneur, and say that about your prime minister and your federal cabinet, that's evidence enough. This is not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's just, this is a thing that normal people talk about. It's hanging out there right in the public view if you wanted to see it. Just because you want people to shut up about it by calling them conspiracy theorists doesn't mean that they are. They're not alt-right lunatics when all you have to do is listen to these people.
Hey folks, that was a clip from the daily live stream. I co-host it Monday to Thursday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Alberta team takes over on Friday. Please tune in. And by the way, we want to hear your 2 cents worth. If you're able to make a minimal $5 donation, we will read your chat on the air live. Thank you.